And so Selank's been my go-to for years, but it just seems like there's a lot of individuality between the dosing, like how much it takes to get
Yeah,
an
some
effect.
guys need quite a lot, and some guys
Yeah.
respond to very low dosages.
Although I've just recently, like in the last couple of weeks, started experimenting with Bromantane. I was maybe going to ask you if you know much about that, but I've
No, so I was never able to source Bromantane, and I got a couple samples from a friend of mine to try it. I did like the feeling,
okay.
but because I can't find, and it seems to be difficult to find, and we can't
Yeah.
discuss sources anymore on YouTube, so let's not
Yeah. Okay.
let's not do that.
I
But
can text.
that's
I can text you my source, and I don't know if you can
yeah.
get it in Thailand. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can if it's international, don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so I was never able to get it, and of course I'd like to run some experiments on myself to see what the benefits are, and then I might
Yeah.
do a deep dive on it. So I have access to most of the stuff, and
Yep.
then if I have good results and I see that there's a demand for it, I'll make a deep dive. So I reviewed all the scientific literature for BBC 157. I had all 180 studies, and then I just go down the list of what there's an interest for. But Bromantane, I don't have so much experience with, so please fill me in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the reported benefit of it, is that it's a reuptake. It essentially works like a reuptake inhibitor, and whether that's actually doing by reuptake inhibition or slightly improved production, I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
think I haven't been convinced either way yet, I should say. Um, but it's working on all the catecholamines, so like it's
Right.
affecting dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, all in
Hmm.
the brain, and serotonin as well. Um, and it seems to have a lot of the same confidence, the anxiolytic benefit or
Right.
confidence enhancing, whatever you want to call it, kind of the same thing. But just there's not a whole, like I'm sure you've probably looked into, there's not a whole lot of research on it, but
No, not
there,
much.
when you read the boards, like the forums, that's honest. I get more information on that basically
There's a
than
boatload
anything.
of anecdotal
Yeah.
evidence. Yeah,
Yeah,
a
and it
lot of
gives and it gives
anecdotal
you an
reports.
idea of like
Yeah,
what to go research, right? It gives you an
right,
idea of like what to look for now, what mechanisms. And
right.
there's always like some PhD on there who's super smart and like,
Of course.
gives me a million things to think about. So I got convinced of it. And what most people say is that it enhances their confidence a lot and improves their
Yeah.
cognition a bit.
Hmm.
Um, and so I don't know. I'm doing it. My wife's doing it. I have like two other patients doing it. So I don't know yet. But I think maybe that will replace Selank. I don't know. Selank,
Could be. I mean, it's a little bit like a little bit different pathway, of course.
right,
And again, like if they're banning Selank, Semax, and Dihexa under
right,
Article 503, then you just look for the next best thing, just like they do with the WADA prohibited list. They
right,
ban drugs, and
right,
then
right,
I'll look into the literature. It's like, oh, this one is not banned. We'll use that one.
right. Yeah, it's a constant game of cat and mouse, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and
But yeah, it does make sense to suppress that because, of course, purely from like how you respond to Selank.
yeah,
Bromantane, yeah, should be maybe 9-MeBC could have an application with that as well because it helps with dopamine sensitivity.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'll let you know as it comes about. But yeah, the Selank, I just think so. I'm usually giving it to people. So again,
mhm,
I do private consulting. People pay me for that. I
right,
carry very few patients, and then I still treat any SEAL or any former SEAL
right,
who. So I that's my volunteer work. So that's all philanthropic work, but they have to pay for everything. So I try to keep things. They have to pay for their meds and
mhm,
supplements and stuff. So I try to keep costs down, and I try to find more efficient ways of doing things. But like I
right,
said, I just assume all of them have significant brain damage, and so I treat. That's my first thought when they have anxiety problems. My first
mhm,
thought isn't, it's some sort of life circumstance. I mean, they're Navy
right,
SEALs. It's pretty unlikely that it's a life circumstance. It's probably more
mhm,
likely a physiologic thing. And so Selank's been my go-to for years, but it just seems like there's a lot of individuality between the dosing, like how much it takes to get
yeah.
an
Some
effect.
guys need quite a lot, and some guys
Yeah,
respond to very low dosages.
and then
Especially.
good.
Yeah, the problem is with like the ones that you get from Russia, the pharmaceutical Selank. It's
Right.
nasal drops. It's not a nasal spray that's easy to dose, and they have like two or three concentrations, like 0.3% and 1%, and it makes it very difficult to really adjust the dosage. So what I do
Right.
like about the US compounding pharmacies or some of the gray area peptide websites is that they just do it in a nasal spray, and then they have Selank or N-acetyl Selank, right, or other variants that have a higher
Yeah.
bioavailability. So you can kind of select and experiment and slowly start tapering the dosages upwards.
Yeah.
Because, like personally, I had access to injectable Selank and Semax, and I would
Yeah.
prefer like
I started with that actually.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
would do like sub Q 500 micrograms
Hmm.
Semax in the morning,
Yep.
and then later in the day Selank, to kind of keep the day going, but also have a little bit of a anxiolytic effect. And
Yeah.
I found that for an entire month, I found it super beneficial.
Hmm.
It's yeah,
I
super.
did. I was using the compounding pharmacy we were talking about before we got on.
Yeah.
When I first started doing peptides, and I did injectable Selank and Semax. I didn't find anything from Cmax. I was like, I can't tell that.
Oh, really? Okay. I like that a
I
lot.
couldn't feel anything from it, but I do have some patients who love it, and I find like I feel like those two combined are great. Like it's a great combination, but if it can only be one or the other, it's literally a flip of the coin. And my
Yeah,
patients
it's
like,
what you respond to,
yeah, it's like
basically.
which one do you do well with? So I try
Yeah.
both. Which one you like is the one we'll keep going with. Yeah.
Right. I liked
Yeah.
the combination of Semax and DHEA because it seems that Semax has some heightening abilities to neurosteroids, where the neurosteroid sensitivity in the brain is heightened. And I usually fix people's libido with that sense because they have some sort of libido impairment. Then you put them on neurosteroids, DHEA, pregnenolone, add in the Semax, and then later on the oxytocin
Yep.
for the bonding and the heightened arousal. And that seems to work quite well for guys.
I heard one of your clips on Instagram where you were talking about sex hormone binding globulin
Yeah.
affecting erectile dysfunction or
Yeah.
drive or
Yeah, but
libido.
it's in the context of bodybuilders. So
Okay.
I saw your podcast with Mind Pump, right? You talk about free testosterone,
Yeah.
and I completely agree with that. Like when your SHBG is high, when you're drug free or on a moderate dose of hormone replacement therapy, SHBG is high and it binds to testosterone, and now part of the testosterone can't really interact with the androgen receptor. But
Right.
what bodybuilders do, we don't take HRT for one, we take HRT for five guys.
Right.
Right. So we're
Right.
on a
Okay.
gram of test.
Okay.
So what you see with a lot of guys and then Primo and Mastrone and all these DHT derivatives, it suppresses SHBG so much that you're missing out on one of the pathways that's the SHBG binds to a complex on the cell membrane, which
Mhm.
increases cyclic adenosine monophosphate, which can then interact with the androgen receptor. And without the cyclic adenosine monophosphate,
Oh, yeah,
androgen
yeah.
receptor
Okay.
mediated gene transcription is just not optimized. So it kind of kills libido, but it also kills gains.
Wow, that's super fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's just if they drive it down like below sort of
Yeah, to single
what a
digits. Yeah,
normal range would be.
yeah.
Yeah.
So normal, like on a hormone replacement therapy, you would be usually without proviron already or without
Yeah.
boron. You'll probably be like 20, 25, maybe
Right.
30. And
Okay.
the guys that are a little bit obese and have some lifestyle issues, they might be 40 or 50, still top
Right.
of
Right.
the reference range. And
Right.
then in many cases, either increasing the testosterone or adding in proviron or boron, right, that
Yeah.
usually fixes it. But then the guys that hammer,
You know what else drives SHBG really well is ostarine. Like
oh,
crazy.
really?
I had no idea. I had no idea.
I hate SARMs.
My wife does
I thought they're
my
selective.
yeah, exactly. My wife does very similar work to what I do, but she specializes in women.
Hmm.
And she's the one who taught me that because I've always used a synthetic and not
Yeah.
enough for people to get a benefit out of it, but like uh, they do the trochees, right? Going
Right.
between your so like 10 milligrams Monday, Wednesday, Friday of oxandrolone or stanozolol or something like that.
Right. Hmm.
I do that for a week and I drive their sex hormone because
Right.
I see guys come in with a sex hormone binding globulin of 90 and I'm like your free percentage is like 0.5, right? So like you have no free testosterone. So I've always given them the synthetic, which is a really expensive way to go.
Yeah.
And then my wife said like, oh, I just give them ostarine. And I was like, really? Uh, and like I'm not a huge SERM fan either.
Yeah, but
To
if
be
it
honest, like
works and it's readily
yeah,
available, it's easier to get than
we
proviron.
so I started experimenting that over the last year. It's like, damn, that works better than the synthetics, and obviously it's way cheaper. It's like one bottle is
Yeah,
like $30 or whatever, and that's all they need, right, for the whole
true,
year. Yeah.
true.